Hello students, this is the second part of the chapter Tribal, the Cause and the Vision of a Golden Age. Now, how did colonial rule affect tribal lives? The tribal chiefs enjoyed privileges and authority over the cluster of villages around their abode. They made their own rules, had their own system of collecting revenue from the villagers, hired out land for cultivation, managed small forces to run the administrative and law and order machinery, which was solely governed by their whims and fancies. The British colonial rulers and their administrative officials were much more powerful, and they dictated their terms both by force and coercion on the tribal chiefs. They allowed them to retain the title of being chiefs, but forced them to abide by the rules and terms of paying tributes to the British government. The British also took away large pieces of land and forest under their charge, and thus deprived the ownership and free movement of the tribesmen who once ventured freely in these regions. This led to simmering of frustration and despair among the tribals. The British did not favor shifting cultivation, as there was no fixed areas and land ownerships to ensure revenue from the farmers. They felt it was important that the farmers stick to a defined area, have identified pieces on their ownership, and pay revenue on the same. This was not acceptable to the jhum cultivators, as it was nearly impossible to stay at a fixed place in regions with limited resources and water. Widespread protests by the farmers in the northeastern regions on this issue led the British to withdraw their policies from the area. Forest laws and their impact on the tribals. Till the middle of the 19th century, the tribals had customary rights in the forest. Their right to use the forest products was recognized, but the forest policy in 1884 of the British curtailed the tribal rights to use the forest produce. The British declared the forest as the property of the state. They classified some forest as reserve forest, which produced the special timber which the British wanted for making railway sleepers. Moreover, the development of the communication system like telegraphic, roadways and railway services has started to ruin the natural state and economy of the forest. These developments affected the tribals all over the country. The Dikus, that means the outsiders, were benefited from the British forest policies. The British policies were detrimental to the tribal interests, so government sometimes paid compensation to the tribals for the loss caused by the encroachment of the forest, but the compensation was meager, and even that could not reach them. It was taken away by the middlemen like clerks, munsis. The forest policy had a negative impact on the British. Once they took over the forest and started evicting the tribals, they realized that they were left with no labor to cut down trees and move logs. This forced them to amend the laws and give back permission to the jhum cultivators to take possession of some pieces of land, but in turn made it compulsory for them to provide labor to the British in felling trees and moving timber out of the zones. This compulsory labor was resisted by the tribal groups, as it amounted to working like slaves for getting some land ownership. In addition to the devastation caused to the tribal communities, the families in the latter half of the 19th century worsened the conditions of the tribals. The continuous increase in the prices of the essential commodities made their conditions unbearable. The land for the tribals was not only a source of livelihood but also a spiritual source, as was given to them by their ancestors. They were being alienated from their land due to distress. The problems of the tribals did not end there. Then came the middleman looking for forest produce. For the increasing demand in the European markets, they exploited the poor and illiterate tribals and paid them poorly, while they themselves made huge profits by reselling these goods. Those tribals who ventured out in search of other employment were exploited by the miners and the plantation agents, who took advantages of their desperate conditions and employed them on extremely low wages. This caused lot of dissent amongst the tribal communities, and they started revolting against the British administrators. The tribals reacted to their exploitation and oppression in the form of revolts and movements. They felt that the outsiders, be it landlords, moneylenders, ठेकेदार्स and missionaries, as well as British government officials, were their enemies. They launched movements against their oppressors in their respective regions under the leadership of their respective chiefs. Their agitations against the outsiders could be called anti-colonial. They revolted against them because of their exploitation in the form of encroachment on their land, eviction from their land, annulment of titles, infringement of traditional legal and social rights, enhancement of rent, abolition of all forms of land ownership. Some of tribal revolt are: the Kols rebelled in 1831 to 32, Santals rose in revolt in 1855, the Bastar rebellion in central India broke out in 1910, and the Varli revolt in Maharashtra in 1940. The movement that Birsa led was one such movement. We will read Birsa movement in the next part of this chapter.